Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Master Mode Korok Seed Challenge. If you're not familiar with this challenge, the brief rundown is we are on a mission to collect all 900 Korok seeds before we conquer a single shrine beyond those that are required on the Great Plateau, or completing any main side quest objectives, that being any of the divine beasts or anything of that sort. So before we jump into the action today, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. The subscription's free and easy, and my commitment is to bring daily videos for your enjoyment. So let's jump right into today's 20 seeds. So seed number 21 of our adventure is up atop this cliff. It's one of the iron magnet puzzle that we have to conquer. You can already see the magnet orb that we're going for hanging off the side of the cliff, but once we get to the cliff top, we're going to find ourselves with a little well, and all this is a really easy magnesis puzzle. So we'll go ahead and activate our magnesis rune, pick up that ball on the chain, and pull it up to drop it into the well, which will trigger the Korok to appear and reward us for our efforts. Seed number 22 of the run is a brief climb up the other side of the canyon here, and then another climb up this little tree. And as soon as we get up into the main branch of the tree, you'll notice that there are some fairy lights that appear, and all you got to do is face towards them, interact with them. That'll prompt this Korok to pop out, let him know that you've done a good job, and hand over his seed. Seed 23 of our run is just down below this area where we got the seed out of the tree. It's one of the magnesis block puzzles. So what we'll need to do is grab the magnesis block from the top canopy here, drop it down onto the wooden walkway. Now, I went about this probably the least efficient of ways, is if you take it off the other side of the canopy, you can actually see the walkway you drop it onto. But at any length, we do get it positioned down below without it falling down to the enemy encampment below. And just a short little kick off of the wall here will plant us on that platform where we can reactivate our magnesis rune and place the block here on the top, exactly like the one over on the right hand side is positioned, which will net us the clear for this seed and net us seed number 23. Still a long ways to go, but every seed we find is getting us one step closer. Seed 24 of our run is a short glide back across the canyon. You can already see it a little bit over there on the rock. There's the pinwheel sitting around. Now, pinwheels can activate a couple of different things. This is one of the first of its class in terms of it being a shooting trial with the bow. So as soon as we make our way up to that little pinwheel, there will be a series of different balloons that pop up and move around in some sporadic patterns. And all you've got to do is analyze the patterns that they fly around in, and then go ahead and draw your bow to target them one by one. This particular version has 5 balloons that we need to go after. So if you're a crack shot, you can get them all within 5 shots, but where this is my first time getting back into shooting these blocks with a bow, it does take me quite a few arrows, but I eventually do manage to hit all 5 of them. And as soon as you hit that last balloon, the guy will pop up right next to you and say that, hey, you've done a good job, and hand over that seed once again. All right, we're on to seed number 25, and this one I actually kind of stumbled on by accident because I was headed up towards the Sheikah Tower, because the map's just a lot easier to read when you've got the Sheikah Towers enabled, which is why I decided not to opt those out of this run. Anyway, this is another shooting puzzle, but the nice thing about this is this balloon is stationary. It doesn't move, it's not triggered by a pinwheel. You've just got to grab yourself that arrow, shoot it straight across, and pop it to net yourself yet another seed, and move right along. So here's kind of what I mentioned of wanting to go ahead and grab the next tower in the sequence. Fun fact, activating the little terminal here in the center of the tower will instantly replenish your stamina, so you don't need to worry about expelling any additional energy or needing to wait to recharge, as you will gain all of that back. At this point, the warranty on our Android device is already void, so what's another water droplet going to do but give us a highly beneficial map. This one in particular is going to take us out over the Gerudo Desert area, which is where we're really going to focus on burning out the remainder of the seeds that we're looking for. Seed number 26 is a short glide off away from this tower down to this rather elaborate magnesis block puzzle. Now, it looks elaborate, but it's honestly pretty simple. You've got to grab the block from this puzzle on the right-hand side, and once you've picked that up, I'm just analyzing it to make sure that I know exactly where to place it. But once you've got that puzzle picked up, all you've really got to do is drag it a little bit over to the left on the same puzzle even, and drop it into the little slot there. It'll then click into place, prompting the Korok to pop up and congratulate you with our next seed. Alright, so seed number 27 is actually just a hop and a skip over here to the west. And it's just this little rock that's sitting on the corner of this cliff face. So all you got to do is pick that sucker up, and you'll have yet another Korok pop up. But this guy, as a couple of the others we've seen, is a little bit lazy. So I think we need to, chastise him for not hiding in a better spot. I had mentioned in the last episode that in the Master Mode Challenge, these stall enemies are going to be some of your best friends. And these moblins, stall moblins, are honestly the absolute cream of the crop because they drop really awesome weapons. And so, you don't really have to worry about throwing away too much damage on any of your weapons. And yeah, I lost a woodcutter's axe there, but I gained a solid weapon in that spiked moblin club, which deals a 27 damage without any attack bonuses, which not going to complain at all about that. Now, seed number 28 is a glide over from where we just fought those moblins, and it's a two-part rock puzzle where you've got to analyze the different arms of this little flower and find the rock features that are missing a rock. There should be 8 in total, so you've got to make sure to place the 2 rocks on top of this spire at the end of the 2 that are a rock short, and that will prompt the next Korok to pop up and grant you yet another seed. Now, another thing that's important to remember about the Master Mode challenges is off the side of every single tower in the area, you'll find one of these little floating structures. And they are typically outfitted with 1 or 2 enemies that vary in their strength. So my main focus here is sneaking up behind this moblin so he doesn't really notice me, getting in some surprise attacks on him. And once you've got the enemies taken out, you can venture around and collect the 2 different chests. The one down here in wood, it's just got a ruby in it. I don't showcase it here because it's not a weapon. But most of them will also contain a weapon. As you can see, this is a pretty nice little Gerudo spear, so I'm not going to pass that up at all. Seed number 29 is a little bit down below that area, and it's another magnesis block puzzle, so I go ahead and drop that down to an area where I know it's not going to roll away from me, because I don't want to have to deal with this electric keys, as anytime they hit you, they cause you to drop your weapons, and that's just more hassle than what it's ultimately worth. So now with all of the enemies out of the way in this little area, we can casually grab our little magnesis block and bring it over to the magnesis puzzle here. Luckily, it didn't roll away too far or cause us any problems, and it's the upper of the 2 structures here that you want to make sure you drop that block into. The easiest way, you can try to slip it into that little crevice there, but the easiest way that I eventually found is you can take it over to the left, drop it into where you need, and then slide it over into its place, which triggers that Korok to pop out and reward you with seed number 29, or at least in the seed number 29 for us. Seed number 30 is the first in its class that we've seen so far, where it's one of these race-style seeds. And the way that you'll want to go about this is there's a little stump that you've got a leaf on it that points in the ultimate direction that you're going to be heading. As soon as you step foot on that, it will trigger the timer, and you'll just need to race over to that ring as quickly as you can. They vary in areas of difficulty. This one, granted that you can fly and use your glider for most of it, is pretty simple to track down. As you can see, we get there with lots of time to spare, and that grants us the 30th seed of our run. Moving right along to seed number 31, this one's actually just a short climb up above the spot where we grabbed the last seed on this little scaffolding that's holding off the side. So you just want to climb up this cliff a little bit, perform a jump kick off the side, pick up the rock, and grab the 31st seed here. And as soon as you've got that, this guy, since he's lazy, you know what he deserves, and that's a rock on top of the head. Now, seed number 32 is a really unique puzzle that I personally hadn't seen before, because I hadn't grabbed this one in particular in any of my previous runs. But it's a puzzle where you've got to roll this big boulder into this giant hole in the ground. Now, you can try and struggle with it a little bit by pushing, but ultimately your best bet is going to be using your stasis rune and grabbing or taking advantage of the kinetic energy that you can store up in these artifacts here. Now, I could have gotten it on first shot if I would have done 3 taps with the scepter. As you can see, 1 tap just really doesn't do anything. As soon as my stasis resets, we hit it with another 2 taps. That takes it over to the cusp, but not quite enough, and since I didn't want to wait for my stasis to recharge and it was just a short push from there, we were able to shove it into the hole and get that 30-second seed from the Korok that appears shortly thereafter. Seed number 33 is just a short stroll away from that hole, and it's this little acorn that's hanging from a chain. Now, the instructions say to shoot the acorn, but really all you've got to do is destroy it. I didn't want to pull out my bow and waste an arrow, as I wasn't really sure how many more of those I was going to need for future seeds, so I just jumped up and hit it with the scepter. Now, before you walk away from this seed, you'll notice that there's this little chest in the ground. You will want to grab it, because the item contained within, or items, I should say, is a set of frost arrows, or ice arrows as they're officially labeled, and those are just always nice to have in your inventory. From there, you can take a short little glide down to this big tree that's on the terrace down below. There's a rock sitting on the top that, if you pick that up, will spawn the next Korok, which nets us seed number 34 of this run. And of course, with any other seed that we acquire this method, you know what this Korok gets as soon as we're done with him. Seed number 35 is a couple of tiers down from the cliff that we are just coming down off of. And it's another rock that's set up on a little bit of a pedestal. It's on this little land bridge that you can see here up against the cliff side. So as soon as you make your way down to it, it's just as simple as walking over and picking up that rock. And there's a lot of Koroks that like to hide under rocks in various locations, but none of them are particularly smart or resourceful, so, you know, we've got to educate them that next time they've got to hide themselves a little bit better. Seed number 36 is a little stroll along the scaffolding near the last seed that we'd found. And what you'll want to do here is carefully climb up onto the top of this area. And once you're at the top here, you'll want to grab the magnesis block off the top of the structure that's on the cliffside and move it into the hole that's in the position of the structure that's over here on the side of the cliff. You might have to finagle it a little bit, but with some fine-tuning, you'll be able to slide that right in to its proper location, which then, of course, as always, spawns a Korok and gets you that seed. Now, seed number 37 is another one of our race-style seeds, and it's down on the other side of this crevice that loops around. I found it easiest to go over the top edge, but as soon as you make your way down to this little area, all you've got to do is walk across that stump. This one goes a little bit quicker than the last one that we saw, so you will want to sprint your way across. And if you can avoid falling in that hole, it's ideal. But again, you've got plenty of time, provided that you are able to grab onto the cliff face and make the most of your stamina getting over to that seed. Seed number 38 is actually on this exact same structure in that crevice we just fell down a moment ago. And you'll want to carefully climb down to a place where you can get a foothold, as you saw the fairy lights that's popped up there. If you carefully climb down that structure, there should be an area just a few paces below that you can precariously balance yourself on, and then walk over to examine those fairy lights to reveal the Korok and grab that seed from this location. Seed number 39 is a little bit further down this canyon. It's similarly placed to the last one, with the difference being it's not a set of fairy lights to interact with, but rather a balloon that sat in between the crack. Now you can shoot this, but I wanted to try something a little bit different, again to try and conserve some of the arrows until I find a place to either farm or purchase some. And the way that I managed to do that was playing a little remote bomb basketball, which was easy enough to pop that balloon and grab that seed. Our final seed of this video is one that's a little bit more technical. What you'll need to do is climb all the way up to this little terrace here, and you'll notice that there is, at the end of this platform, another one of our time trial seeds. This one does go very quickly. I would highly recommend following the instructions that are on this little area of saving your game so you can, revert back to where you're at if you need to. As you see here, we get here with just enough time to spare, and that was my first try for this one, but it wouldn't be your first try for every single one, so I would highly recommend saving to be able to backtrack if you need to. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. That has gotten us to 40 of the 900 seeds. If you're enjoying this series, please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, as that greatly helps me out. And we'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Until then, take care and have a great rest of your day.